his hometown comes the first citizen of Missouri and the nation. And for independence, population 16,000, it's a great day. 2 days before, the president had paraded in San Francisco before cheering throngs. But this was home. This was where he had spent his years as county judge. With daughter Mary Margaret, he visits the home on Delaware Street that is now the summer White House. By Joe, I'm glad to be back, he says, and there's no doubt how Independence feels about its famous son. That evening, 10,000 fellow citizens gather to see and hear America's first president from Missouri and tell him how glad they are to see him. The First Lady and their 20-year-old daughter, too. Then Mr. Truman tells the home folks what it means to be chief executive.
There are two things that I must accomplish as President of the United States. The first one is to win the war with Japan, and we are winning it. The next one is to win a peace.
And to win it, the president now calls upon the nation to back the job begun at San Francisco. We, the peoples of the United Nations, momentous beginning of the great new charter for world peace just forged by 50 nations at San Francisco. Here some 200 men and women from the far corners of the earth labored for 8 weeks, building an organization to stop war. Now President Truman arrives to attend the last session of the conference to mark its official closing, a day which the whole civilized world has awaited anxiously that it might judge results. And the world, as well as San Francisco, rejoices over great progress made. At the Paramount Hotel, President Truman received some famous guests. South Africa's Jan Christian Smuts, who signed at Versailles. Admiral Nimitz, who in the midst of plans for peace, must see his commander-in-chief about war. At the Opera House, last hours of the convention, as delegates of the steering committee honor Edward Stettinius, who later resigned as Secretary of State to become permanent chairman of the American delegation. And Lord Halifax calls dramatically for a standing vote on the completed charter.
And it is now my duty, my honor and my privilege in the chair to call for a vote on the approval of the Charter of the United Nations.
Nation by nation, the delegates stand up for the great new charter they hammered out together. 50 nations standing side by side, unanimous for peace. Now, final signing of the charter. China signing first as the first nation attacked in this war. Dr. Wellington Koo's signature topping the long list to come. Then for Russia, Ambassador Gromyko commits his country also to the agreements and objectives decided upon after days and nights of compromise and cooperation. 4 main agencies upon which the world now puts its hope. A powerful Security Council having final military authority. A General Assembly representing all member nations. A Social and Economic Council to tackle the causes of war. And an international court to judge any international disputes. The signing is done. The great charter is completed. This draft of mankind's deepest hopes already a historic document. Perhaps the Magna Carta of peace-loving humanity itself. Now Stettinius introduces the final speaker of the San Francisco Convention.
Fellow delegates, the President of the United States of America.
The Charter of the United Nations, which you are now signing, is a solid structure upon which we can build for a better world. History will honor you for it. Between the victory in Europe and the final victory in Japan, in this most destructive of all wars, you have won a victory against war itself. If we had had this charter a few years ago, and above all, the will to use it, millions now dead would be alive. If we should falter in the future in our will to use it, millions now living will surely die. Now, there's a time for making plans, and there's a time for action. The time for action is here now. Let us, therefore, each in his own nation and according to its own way, seek immediate approval of this charter and make it a living thing. By this charter, you have moved toward the goal for which that gallant leader in this Second World struggle worked and fought and gave his life, Franklin D. Roosevelt. This new structure of peace is rising upon strong foundations. Oh, let us not fail to grasp this supreme chance to establish a worldwide rule of reason, to create an enduring peace under the guidance of God.
Today, the Allied world salutes these representatives of 50 nations. They have made a beginning, a brave beginning, that can build a mighty structure for peace. Out of a world of agony and total war has come a charter that must mark a turning point in human history. A new way lies ahead. The world must take this way through unity and cooperation to a lasting peace.